Where were you? Do you remember where you were when Sasha Vezenkov said he wanted out of Sacramento?
Yes, I do. I was exiting my bed at 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was. Yeah. It wasn't quite what I expected to wake up to. There wasn't really much in terms of like crumbs leading to this. I think you might have, I feel like I heard you say, we've heard, or we kind of had, I don't know what the right phrasing is, but we had through some channels, like had some sort of understanding that Sasha wasn't thrilled with his playing time throughout the year, but never did we hear expressly that he wanted out of this situation. Right. Of course, when you're not getting minutes and you literally move your entire life across the world, there's a certain level of expectation of, okay, like they want me, I'm going to get an opportunity. It's in everyone's best interest to see what we have here.
Yes.
And then for it to be, for all intents and purposes, like very forgettable. I think in 3 to 4 years, we're going to, oh my gosh, I forgot
it's crazy.
Sasha was here, Yeah, it just kind of, life comes quickly.
We'll get into whether or not it's a bad look for the Kings. I had some people saying it was a bad look for Coach Mike Brown.
Of course people said that.
Monty McNair, Vivek, everybody that was involved in this courting process and where we are now, whether or not there is blame to go around. So you're waking up on Saturday morning, and shout out to Euro Hoops. I thought I had to confirm it. Yes. And my first post was still waiting to confirm because they have a decent following, but it was random and I hadn't seen anybody else post it yet. Right. It got confirmed pretty quickly. Sasha Vezenkov has informed the Sacramento Kings that he doesn't intend to return for the second year of his contract. For now, it's open whether he will continue his career in the NBA or he will decide to return to Europe. And that's not really how contracts work there, Sasha. And he clearly was upset. There were reports that, honestly, Chris and I had, and, they were crumbs. I don't know that they were enough to say, oh, my goodness, this is what happened, and this is why it happened. But we heard that there was a game or two where Sasha, in his native language, was upset after games, and he was talking very loudly, and there were people that surmised that it was about playing time or it was about the current situation. And all of the things we discussed with Sasha are true. You're moving to a completely different country. You have all these things going on. So to do all of that and then ride pine, I'd be pretty upset too. Yeah. I was never very excited when I was not playing. And I can only imagine how these hyper-competitive professional athletes are in those situations as well. Chris, and we're going to open up the phone lines. Your initial thoughts on the Sasha news. This is the Sasha segment of the show. We're going to be talking about all the different angles of this. This is from Keith Smith, NBA, friend of the station,
yes, sir,
contributor to the Front Office show. Keith Smith says he can't, as somebody asked him, hey, Keith Smith, wouldn't Sasha have to retire to get out of his contract to go back to Europe? What are the impacts to the Kings cap situation? And by the way, before I read this, just to shut it down, I saw it on the text line. Can that money be used for Malik Monk? No. Answer is no. So thank you for asking. A couple people have asked, not just Chris and I, but the other members of Sactown Sports as well, from Frankie to Brandon. And we have a group chat going, so we were just kind of discussing all that because a lot of people were asking us. The answer is no. Okay, to this Keith Smith response, Sasha, can't just unilaterally decide to leave the Kings. They'd have to waive him. He's got a guaranteed contract at $6.6 million for 2024-2025, and then the Kings hold a team option for 2025-2026 for $6.9 million. Sacramento controls this process, not Vezenkov. Retiring then signing overseas might not work because FIBA likely wouldn't clear a new deal. Not sure how they plan to pull this off unless there's something I'm missing or the Kings and Vezenkov have some deal in place for him to make his deal non-guaranteed and Sacramento waives him. Or the Kings or another team after a trade just eat his $6.6 million for this season. So why would he do this?
I mean, I still have some confusion on, not confusion, but I think, like I said earlier, I think that there's been a little bit of a misunderstanding. If I had to get, not misunderstanding, but I think how this went is that the Kings probably told Sasha, you're not in the plans for next season, and we're going to look to move you. And then Sasha tells reporters that, I mean, that's the only way that this could work out.
It's the only way it makes sense.
Yeah, like it doesn't make, like Sasha can go to the Kings and say, hey, I want out. But then the reporting should be Sasha Vezenkov is requesting to move on from Sacramento. Not, I mean, yeah, it's just the wording of the reporting is super strange because, yeah, Sasha doesn't, sorry, but he doesn't have any control in this situation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like the Kings, he's signed under contract. So he's at the very least playing in the NBA next season. Like Keith said, maybe he can go to a situation where they have tons of cap space, trade him there, and then they cut him. That's a different situation, and that could maybe be how this works out. But either way, that's the Kings making a trade and getting something back. So at the very least, I heard this and I thought, well, this is a guarantee that the Kings are at the very least making a move this offseason. Like this, it could be a Chris Duarte level deal. It could be, you know, as I made those Kuzma Levine trades last week, take out Trey Lyles, put in Sasha Vezenkov. They make pretty much the same exact money. And if anything, I mean, Sasha's a more guaranteed to be expiring. He wants out. That's also a really good situation for him. So I just think from the Kings perspective, you're saying, okay, I mean, that's definitely unfortunate. We wanted to see what we had in you, but we were going to, yeah, okay. That just more confirms for us you will be in a deal for us.
But are you saying that the Kings initially came to Sasha? Or are you just saying that could have happened?
I'm saying that could have happened. Yeah, I have no reporting on that or anything.
But either way, Sasha probably saw the writing on the wall. You know,
I'm just thinking like an exit interview or something. They said, obviously, this season didn't go how we went.
You got a lot of work to do. Yeah.
I think if we can find a better situation for you, we will, for both parties involved. And I think maybe Sasha took that and ran with it and probably, you know, there's a bit of ego here as well, I think, where Sasha was the European MVP and probably goes back to Europe. People ask him what happened, and he says, "Oh man, like don't get me started. I'm done over there. I'm out." And it wouldn't surprise me if a bit of this is maybe possibly Sasha did maybe tell a reporter that I want out or I'm getting out of there. And making it sound like I'm the one in power.
Well, it got out somehow, and now, you know, I had somebody respond to me after a couple of the things that I posted, and they said Mike Brown resigns, and then this comes out. Do you think there's any connection there?
There is, boo-hoo.
Well, but you know, I've been on the train coming in a little bit later. I didn't see the whole courting. I didn't see Mike Brown going overseas, and just from essentially an outside perspective, that it doesn't look like Mike Brown wants to play that guy.
Yeah,
right. It doesn't look like that's a Mike Brown guy, and some people said it even made Mike Brown look bad, and I didn't necessarily think that because to me, we don't know how Sasha, and we're going to go through the timeline here on the other side of how Sasha arrived in Sacramento. But to me, if somebody says, hey, you gotta take this guy, this is one of our guys, and it's coming from either the higher ups to some degree, and Mike Brown didn't really have a say in it. I saw somebody say, Mike Brown flew all the way out there. And my answer to that person, if you're listening to this, is, do we know that he wanted to?
Yeah, right.
Do we know that he wanted to do we know that he wanted to court Sasha?
Absolutely not. No.
We do not know that.
No.
But what we do know is that once Sasha was on the team, Mike Brown wasn't necessarily pressed to play him.
I think blaming Mike Brown is that to me is just people trying to blame Mike Brown for another thing that's just not really his fault. Like, I mean, are we blaming if Dante Exum leaves after this season with the Mavericks and says, hey, like I hit that game winner in Sacramento at the end of the, like, I felt like I had a big role with this team. And then once the playoffs started, he just stopped playing me. So I want out of Dallas. Are they going to be mad at Jason Kidd? No. No. So what are we like? I'm sorry, but if the 8th player or whatever, 9th, 10th man on a roster is upset that he didn't get playing time and wants out, that's called the, like, no, people are going to be upset with their playing time. I don't necessarily think that that's some sign that Mike Brown's a terrible coach or anything like that. To me, it's just, that's what happens. There was a really excited. Like, people were honestly just as excited about this European not prospect. He's 30 years old, but Micic was this huge name that finally came over this year to OKC. OKC freaking traded him at the deadline for Gordon Hayward. Nobody said anything about it. So I think that it's just a bit of a stretch. Like Sasha Vezenkov, I'm sorry, he's not a relevant player to this roster.
Okay, yes. Sidebar, OKC did say that was a miss on our part.
Sure, they missed on Gordon Hayward, but nobody's upset that Micic got no minutes in OKC.
Right.
So I just think that this is a very centralized problem. I think people outside of Sacramento look at this and just say, oh, man, yeah, that Euro MVP never worked out. Nobody's pointing fingers to Mike Brown and saying Mike Brown is the reason why it didn't work out. People blame the individual.
From the 916, I like what little I've seen from Sasha.
Yeah.
The whole Sasha Vezenkov thing has been driving me crazy from the get-go. Teams start rookies from college with less pedigree. Whose fault is it for not giving him playing time? This season is set up, or I should say was set up, for him to start in place of Harrison Barnes or Herter. I'm not sure.
I liked what I saw from Sasha, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Sasha starting is what you want. We can agree that Sasha deserved more time and a longer runway from the get-go. And maybe I'd feel differently, I guess, to your point, 916. But I'm looking at the playoffs here, and I'm seeing from what I've seen from Sasha. I think he could have been in the rotation, but Sasha as a starter, I don't think that's the fish that you're trying to get to turn this team into a true contender.
And what's that doing? If Sasha gets more playing time this year, are the Kings a 6 seed? Are they a 5 seed?
And let's not forget, sometimes there's bad timing involved as well. Sasha hurt both ankles, and one of those ankle injuries was when Trey Lyles was injured. So it's the whole chain. You had Harrison Barnes, who you were looking for somebody to take Harrison Barnes' spot, right? Trey Lyles wasn't able to do that. Trey Lyles gets injured. Okay, Sasha, what do you got? And that was a perfect time. That was right before the last.
Better, right?
That was right before the last stretch of the season, and that's nobody's fault. But it was a combination of things that went wrong from Sasha or for Sasha out here in Sacramento. And again, you're trying to build, and I think Sasha's and I'm on record saying Sasha's defense was better than I think we expected. But ultimately,
the offense was worse than we expected.
The offense was a little bit more limited. I mean, the man doesn't dribble. He doesn't dribble.
He also has never seen a shot he doesn't like.
That's right. That's right. And he would hit him. Don't get me wrong. But when you talk about and maybe some of that is fit. Okay, he can. He was supposed to be a cutter. Didn't see him cut that much. Again, limited playing time, but maybe this isn't the best offense for what Sasha does. In theory, it is, but if you're literally just, going to sit on the perimeter and shoot all day and be a average at best defender, Mike Brown isn't going to love that. So I think it was a rough fit from the get-go, and here we are. Coming up next, we will discuss